Now, before I assign you homework with this lecture, will you please sign the petition to keep our campus from going back to 1984?
This is like George Orwell's book, 1984.
Where'd you move here from? Dumbsville?
Yo. I hit the jeweler, got some goals. I sold a little weed, but I could never sell my soul. And when I'm in LA, you find me out in Lil Toe. Come a bogo with my ramen, I'ma need another bowl. Let's go.
Now that we got that mushy shit out of the way, I feel like stage diving.
You know what? Before I begin, I want to do something positive. This game means a lot to certain people. Fans of this game claim that it saved their lives even. And quite a few people associate this game with helping them through a rough spot. So I'm gonna begin this video by very disjointedly talking about the things I like about this game. First off, the soundtrack isn't too bad. It's not exactly full of bangers or anything, but for what it is, it's relaxing, ambient, and fits the tone. And it certainly has melodies to it. I don't like every track in the game, and once again, I wouldn't blast this in my car or anything, but the soundtrack on its own is pretty decent. Furthermore, I think the concept is really unorthodox, but in a really good way. This is the first game where you play as a high schooler. Except for that one. But it is the first supernatural high school game where you solve a conspiracy. Except that one. But it is the first video game where you play as a teenage high school girl, with psychological horror scenes rooted in feminine fears and insecurities, with multiple endings. Except that one. Okay, maybe it's not entirely original, but it is part of a niche genre, high school girls simulator, and for that, I can kind of respect it, even if I'm not too big on the execution. I think this game also helped the industry a bit, allowing games that I do enjoy, like Night in the Woods, to really shine a bit, since people will inevitably be looking for similar experiences to Life is Strange, and for that, I can respect Life is Strange in those regards. Now, going forward, I'm not going to be nearly as nice to this game, and just remember, you're not obligated to watch this video. There are plenty of other videos on this game criticizing and praising it. And once again, if this game influenced you positively, I can't really hate on that. My point is, no matter what your opinion is, do be rational. In the end, just remember, this is a fake video game, and someone not exactly loving it isn't a reason to hate them.
Hate me, but do it honestly.
And with that out of the way, this is my review of Life is Strange. Life is Strange fucking sucks. This game is an overrated disaster. It's fucking horrid. If it wasn't obvious already, I really don't like this game. When the game isn't gaslighting you into liking these awful, horrible, terrible characters, it's bombarding you with the worst dialogue known to man.
Now, why don't you go fuck yourself in?
I wouldn't even really call this a game. I think endurance test is more appropriate. Now, I know all this is one massive hot take, and I'm gonna have to elaborate one way or the other. So this is my review of Life is Strange, a game that I really do not like. Also, quick side note, I've really only dived into the first game. I've only played a little bit of Before the Storm, but I never finished it and kind of forgot about it. The rest of the franchise seems pretty self-contained, so I doubt it would really change anything. But just in case it isn't, I'm just gonna leave this here. I'm also playing and reviewing the original game. There's a remastered version that apparently is worse, at least so I've heard. Personally, I don't feel like giving $40 to an NFT factory, just to tell you that it probably sucks. Anyways, this is my review of Life is Strange, you hella shaka bra.
Part 1, these characters fucking suck.
In Life is Strange, you play as Maxine Caldwell, a senior student at Blackwell Academy, a private boarding school where she's learning photography. However, she wakes up with mysterious time powers. Where does she get these time powers? Never explained. And due to these powers, she has visions of a giant tornado for some reason. Sometimes the powers will conveniently go away for some reason. Max can also travel through time by staring at photos really intensely. How she is very conveniently able to go back in time with some photos and not other ones is beyond me, but who cares? All the while, Max is uncovering a giant conspiracy with twists and turns so out of left field and fucking stupid that you will be shocked once you realize this game has an overwhelmingly positive reception on Steam. All the while, you will meet a wide variety of characters, around 24 in fact, and you'll be in awe once you remember only 9 of them, and only enjoy the company of 2 of them. A good majority of these characters are absolutely abhorrent people, but it's not just that they're unlikable. Some characters are awful, horrible, terrible, evil people, but the game kinda gaslights you into liking them. Some characters are so cartoonishly evil that I half expect Spider-Man to start fighting them, or some characters are just obnoxious, and I kinda want them dead by proxy anyways, and the characters characters I don't hate are usually just kinda bland and are relegated as forgettable side characters. Thankfully for the main character Max though, she isn't a side character. In my opinion, Maxine Caldwell is really boring. She's a shy dork and that's about it, with most of her personality being stating mundane bullshit.
That is a tasty plasma.
Fortnite Battle Royale.
Spouting off internalized exposition.
I was in the bathroom. He shot that poor girl.
This guy, he tripped and fell in the back of McDonald's. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram for.
And every once in a while making a really cringy pop culture reference.
Must protect my precious, so Max never has to chase it down again.
Maybe I could sneak in and watch Final Fantasy Spirits Within.
But to give the game some credit, I do think this could be an intentional choice. Making Max more bland could allow the player to insert themselves, allowing for more intimacy with the actual game's narrative, since this is a choice-driven game after all. Of course, all that choice-driven stuff is complete bullshit, but we'll get to that later. Still, I can't help but wish that Max were a bit more charismatic. I'm not asking for Nathan Drake or anything, just a little bit more spunk and personality. Night in the Woods was able to do this, so was The Wolf Among Us. I kinda wish Life is Strange did the same. It certainly wouldn't have hurt it. You have other characters like Warren, who I'm sure means well. When you start sending me goddamn 2012 cat memes and start saying interwebs unironically,
it'll be so karmic to see your ass clown face all over the interwebs.
I can't help but kinda hate you. Nothing personal. He's also extremely creepy, hitting on Max every other interaction they have together in this very incelish way.
So you're sensitive.
Ouch, that sounds awful the way you say it.
How so?
Sensitive usually means won't be having sex with you.
How the hell Max puts up with him is beyond me. And why people would want the romantic option with him is also beyond me.
This works? You get a free hug.
Fuck no, baby.
This guy is so much of a red flag, he's played by Ryan Gosling.
You like to hurt people, huh? Like Max? Like Kate? Like me?
Next you have Mr. Jefferson, a famous photographer who's also Max's teacher, and the entire reason she's going to Blackwell in the first place. He's okay, I guess. Next you have these goddamn cartoon bad guys. First you have Victoria Chase, who is pretty much a Mean Girls knockoff character. Her personality traits are being better than everyone else, and literally nothing else.
Now you're totally stuck in the retro zone. Sad face.
Oh my god, Becky, you hear the new Drake album? It's the most one-dimensional generic female bully you could ever write. This game came out in 2015, and yet this character feels like she came out in 2007.
Now, why don't you go fuck yourselfie?
The next cartoon bad guy is Nathan Prescott, a character who lives in a very wealthy family, and whose family pumps a large amount of money into the school. He's also mentally unhinged, but not like in a well-written way, but more so in a hilariously over-the-top kind of way.
You don't know who the fuck I am or who you're messing around.
The dude is a goddamn Batman villain. I can't tell if he's about to shoot up the school or poison Gotham's water supply. However, he's also very pick and choosy with what he actually does. He's fully okay with choking a woman in a parking lot, like his name is Ezra Miller. But in a diner with one police officer, he's just gonna sit there and talk to you.
By the way, thanks for getting me fucking expelled, you twee bitch. You're lucky this is a public place.
Overall, this character is cartoonishly out of touch. Get used to that, by the way. It feels more like what the writers think a mentally ill person is like. Yet another one-dimensional character in this pile of shit game. There's also David Madsen, the stepdad of Max's best friend Chloe, who is the third cartoon bad guy in a row. He's a tough-as-nails war vet, and the security guard at Blackwell. It's implied he watches the quarter.
This is what happens at these PC bullshit colleges.
Once I establish my theocracy, I will throw you in my dungeon and let you rot for eternity.
And probably domestically abuses Chloe. The thing is, and this is really weird to say, but David might be one of the best characters in this game. Despite all of his problems, he does actually have a redemption arc. And just like you throughout the game, there is a conspiracy he's trying to uncover. His methods may be extremely questionable, but in the end, he, just like you, is trying to protect people.
It will take more than Ms. Grant and her petition to find missing students.
The problem is he has a really bad way of going about it, and his temper gets in the way of himself. In other words, unlike the other characters in this game, and despite how poorly written he actually is, he's one of the very few characters with actual nuanced depth to him. The problem is the writing of this character is still really on the nose, making it a bit too obvious what you're supposed to think about this character.
Isn't that your responsibility as head of security?
I don't want to fight with you anymore.
Next character is Kate Marsh, who is emotional manipulation the character. I'll get to her problems a little bit later. But as of right now, I'll just say this. I don't actually like Kate Marsh's character because she's a good character. I liked her character because the game gaslighted me into liking her by making her kill herself. Otherwise, her character is I'm depressed and maybe Christian, which the game never explores religion anyways. So if you take Christianity out of her character, you'd have the exact same character anyways, which is in my opinion a massive missed opportunity and could have actually added to her character. If Kate were more fleshed out, the themes of suicide and depression could have been a lot more stronger. But apparently character traits don't actually exist according to this game. All these characters flounder in comparison to
Part 2, Chloe Price.
Chloe Price is one of the worst fictional characters ever written. I fucking loathe her. This fucking petty bitch. And it's not just that she's flawed or anything. You can have a flawed character and still have them be a good character. The thing is, Chloe does a whole bunch of horrible bullshit to you in the game, but the game never follows up on it. Remember Kate Marsh, the character who was suicidal and had depression? Yeah, if you choose to call her on your cell phone, Chloe Price gets really mad at you.
Thanks, Max. If you'd rather chill with Kate?
We do not.
Not that you want to hang with Chloe anyways. She will abuse and play around with Max's time powers, using her supposed best friend as a tool. Well, after it's shown to be hurting her after overusage.
This power really messes with my head.
Oh, boo-hoo. Max is afraid. I know you can handle this.
I accuse you of capping.
She constantly rails on Max for leaving her when she was 13.
Why does everybody in my life let me down? My dad gets killed, you bail on me for years.
And barely shows any compassion for anyone outside of herself.
Yes, Kate Marsh killed herself. She's dead. Such sad, okay? That doesn't make me feel better about my fucked up life, get it?
She's a massive hypocrite and believes the world constantly revolves around her.
I thought you believed in gun control.
Yes, I believe I should control the gun. It's the men who need to be checked. Jesus, I shot myself! I shot myself!
Pompidou! You fucking killed my dog!
Oh my god! I just shot a man and his dog.
And once again, the game never follows up on this. The game acts like Chloe is all badass and cool and shit, but also deeply broken. But she never actually improves herself throughout the story. She's never given any real consequences. And just when you think she is, and might start actually going through shit that changes her as a person, nope, just reverts to the same fucking garbage character. Either that or the game gets so convoluted that it forgets what proper character arcs are. Oh, and another thing. You're not really allowed to dislike Chloe in this game. Oh, you can try. You can certainly try. But the game is set up in such a way where you can't really truly talk back to Chloe, but everything gets haphazardly resolved anyway, so who cares? Oh, and here's something even funnier. So the reason Chloe is a fucking bitch is because her dad died years ago in a fatal, horrible car crash. And she's mad at him for this, I guess?
So who do you most want to blame?
My fucking dad, of course. Hello?
Yeah, I blame my dead dad for driving and getting into an accident. Nobody else was involved in it or anything.
He chose to go out that door and leave me forever.
Chloe, your dad didn't choose to leave you. It was just a terrible accident.
I wish that made me feel better. But ever since he died, my life has been dipped in shit.
Still you talk.
But whatever, okay. So I said earlier that Max can travel through time through photos, right? So long story short, Max creates an alternate timeline where Chloe's dad lives, and this causes Chloe to eventually get into a car crash and become a quadriplegic.
This man was the source of it all.
Yeah, I wasn't joking earlier. The game is gaslighting you into liking her. The real funny part, though, is that unironically, she's actually a better character. She's a lot nicer to you. Doesn't blame everyone else for her fucking problems. And even if the dialogue is fucking garbage.
It is hella cold out here.
Hella? I hate that word, no offense.
I kind of wanted to spend more time with her. And yet, that's not what the game wanted at all. The game wants you to go, oh, she's no longer on 2 legs anymore. Please give me the old fucking whore-ass, bitch-ass Chloe again. Honestly, if it meant having a better character in her place, I would go up to this blue-haired cunt, slam her on the ground, and break her spine myself. For all these reasons, Chloe really doesn't work at all. In complete contrast, look at my man Gary from Bully. In that game, him being an unlikable douchebag isn't shied away at all. In fact, he's the main antagonist. protagonist. Like Max and Chloe, Jimmy is essentially Gary's tool. But not only is that game not fucking lying to you, but Gary gaslighting you actually makes sense in the game. Bully is much more effective because Gary actually does try and harm you throughout the game, and has resolution when you kick his fucking ass, finally standing up to him and not taking his bullshit anymore. Nothing like this ever happens in Life is Strange. Instead, Max just takes Chloe's bullshit over and over again until everything kind of resolves itself.
Which is not good.
It also helps that Gary is a way more entertaining character. His condescendence is just way more fun, and he's genuinely way more charismatic, which is the entire point. I can genuinely see why people follow him. He's so entertaining.
Why'd you do it, Gary? I thought we were friends.
Friends? You and me. I've taken dumps that had more brains than you, friend.
He's like what Chloe, Victoria, and Nathan all wish they could be. And in fact, I think he would actually patronize these kind of characters.
Why does everybody in my life let me down? My dad gets killed, you bail on me for years. My mother gloms onto stepfucker.
Yeah, I've been expelled from anywhere halfway decent because I'm really bad. Give up the tough guy act, pal.
Gotta blame somebody, otherwise it's all my fault. Fuck that.
Look at you. Leave me alone, Gary. I'm really self-important now that I finally hit puberty.
Part 3, the story is really dumb.
The thing is, if all of these characters were at least written well, then maybe I could look past a lot of this shit. But I just can't. The dialogue in this game is fucking garbage. These characters don't actually talk like human beings, but rather what 40-year-old aliens think teenagers talk like. This results in a lot of slang terms being thrown around willy-nilly, which comes off as desperately trying to be relatable. And yet this harms the game when characters don't actually know what the fuck they're talking about.
I see why Chloe hangs here. She's a steampunk.
A steampunk?
So Twizzy, I love tonkas. This is already turned, but here's the bell.
You'll have normal 18-year-old girls refer to each other as ninjas in casual conversation, no less.
Thanks, Max. You're like the Blackwell Ninja.
This dialogue is fucking whack. Sometimes I'm just rephrasing what people say as like questions, just so I can process the dumbassery these people say.
I'm the worst baby mama.
I could get you satisfied.
Speaking of dystopia, that drive-in is having a 70s Planet of the Apes marathon. Let's go ape!
That's not even a reference to the movie.
Warren is such a classic nerd.
As opposed to a modern one.
Oh, I guess he needed a neophyte assistant so he wouldn't be threatened.
This is what nerds talk like.
Stop me if I'm being too emo.
Please. My diary is like emo ground zero.
Shut the fuck up!
Came to no slide. But I'd love to see somebody do a tree flip.
Oh, sick. You're not a poser.
Yeah, but the writers are.
Holy shit! Jackpot! Cha-ching!
Cha-ching?
Now, let's talk business.
Business? This dialogue is like a future lyrics.
I would think you'd fit right in with the art school hipsters.
Right. You look like the cover of hipstergirl.com.
Put in the ass, made a pee-pee.
It's not just the cringy internet term. The story itself is an absolute clusterfuck. First of all, how does Max get her time powers? I get they're going for a whole Groundhog's Day thing, where the incident isn't really explained, and the focus is on the characters, right? But Groundhog's Day isn't fucking convoluted. In that movie, you get the scenario. A man's day repeats over and over again. It's one sentence and it's simple. Life is Strange, on the other hand, Max has time powers, right? So she can reverse time. Okay, good, pretty good. But she can also travel back in time by accident by looking at photos and then change the course of history. But this only happens sometimes, but also she can have visions of a giant tornado too. Sometimes these powers just go away for no reason, but also she has Evangelion-styled mental breakdown. Oh, and also she can travel back in time on purpose. She just needed to learn how to do it. It's a fucking mess. I really don't think it would have hurt the story to have a simple explanation on where exactly Max got her time powers. The movie Chronicle did this really well, in my opinion. The characters go to this underground cave thingy, see this weird alien thing, and boom, they have their powers. And that's it. That's all the movie needed. This allows for a simple explanation on where their powers came from, but still letting the movie be character driven. Life is Strange doesn't have this shit. It instead lets the story be so over convoluted without actually giving a reason as to why it's over convoluted. It wants this crazy Evangelion type story with all this world ending time travel shit, but it ends up being really disjointed. Also, there are plenty of times where Max can just rewind time to get out of a problem she's in, but because we need some stakes in a certain scene, she just doesn't. There's a scene where Chloe's boot is trapped in a railway, but Max doesn't rewind time to when she wasn't in the railway. There's a scene where Max is investigating Nathan's dorm room, but Chloe and Max encounter him on the way out, and instead of rewinding time and hiding with Chloe until he passes by, Max just stares at him like a goddamn deer in the headlights so that Warren can beat him up. And the only rewinding you can actually do in this scene is rewinding to the choice on whether you want Warren to beat up Nathan or stop him mid-fight. This action will have consequences, my ass. You could have prevented this. Honestly, the game would have been way better without time powers. Oh yeah, sometimes it's kinda cool getting new information out of people, and rewinding time to use that against them is pretty creative. But these moments are so few and far between and don't actually really matter throughout the story. Oh wait, no, I'm wrong. Sometimes the game will throw stealth sequences into the game just to go, hey, we have time powers and you're using them. What the time travel powers actually are for is making you second guess the choices you make. Every time you make any major choice in Life is Strange, Max will go, wowzers, that was a crazy choice I just made, but I'm not sure I should have made that choice. Maybe I should rewind time and choose the other option.
Man, that did not go well for me. If I want to keep my Blackwell scholarship, I shouldn't lie for anybody. Even Chloe.
Every goddamn time! The game is gaslighting you, motherfucker!
Jesus, I almost shot this guy. And now he'll be more dangerous to Chloe and me.
Isn't your choices being extremely concrete and last minute kind of the appeal of these games? Making crucial hard decisions you can't go back on? Life is Strange just feels so cheap in comparison. It makes you almost unnaturally second guess every choice you make. It feels like time travel is more of a gimmick than a genuine good thing in this game.
Time out, Max. You actually told Kate to go to the police and the principal after getting a scary text threat. Now the police will definitely drag you into this shit.
Shut your ass up. It doesn't help that so much happens in this game as well. On top of all the crazy time power shit, you have a whole conspiracy theory plot involving rich families, serial killers, old abandoned friends, drug dealers, missing people who were friends with your friends, cyberbullying, suicidal people, domestic disputes. So much happens in this game that it crashes and burns by the end of it. Oh no! This game I think would have been way better if it didn't have any time powers and was more about a girl finding a conspiracy. That would have, in my opinion, led to a much more tighter story. One where the stakes actually feel like they kinda matter, and the actual big stakes don't feel completely forced. You know what else would have improved the story? Not fucking up Kate Marsh. Yeah, we're getting into detail on this bitch, finally. Now look, I know a lot of people are narratively gaslit into really loving this character, and this may be a major hot take, but here it goes. How Kate Marsh is handled is 13 Reasons Why levels of bad. So in the story, Kate Marsh is cyberbullied, right? This leads her to being really sad and depressed, and throughout the story you can choose to help her. Okay, that's fine and all. Some of the choices though are really fucking contrived. Like for example, there's a scene where David Madsen is harassing her, and you can choose to either take a picture of the situation or step in and defend Kate. But here's the thing, if I take a picture of the situation, I will literally have proof against David Madsen. But if I do take a picture, Kate gets really mad at me without Max trying to explain herself or anything.
Hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks for nothing, Max.
I'm trying to help you, you dumb fucking bitch. But whatever. I'm able to explain myself a little bit later.
Max, why didn't you do anything when David harassed me yesterday?
I wanted proof David was in your face.
Shit, Negro. That's all you had to say.
In one of the very few scenes where Max and Kate talk to each other before, you know, the big one. In fact, now that I think about it, you kind of have to go out of your way to talk to her. And there is a way to be the best possible friend to her, including wiping off video links that other students are bullying her for. Here's the problem. None of this fucking matters. Because no matter how close you get with her, there's going to be this big dramatic scene where she tries killing herself. And the only way to stop her from killing herself is to, and I'm not joking here, play a stupid ass trivia game. And if you lose the suicide minigame, she kills herself. Am I the only one who thinks this is kind of disingenuous?
Wait, Kate. Think about your brothers. They need their sister.
You don't know me at all, Max. I told you I only have sisters.
What the fuck? Life is strange. Oh, what's this? You formed a friendship with a suicidal girl? Helping her realize that life is worth living? Yeah, no, fuck that. Why the fuck the writers thought it would be a good idea to dangle this extremely serious topic over you with the goddamn Spider-Man Web of Shadows trivia game is beyond me. It also unintentionally makes her look more petty. Like, sorry I don't know every facet of your fucking life. My goddamn mistake. Sorry, buddy. And I don't think it would have been hard to fix this problem either. If Kate Marsh's fate was dependent on how close you were as a friend throughout the game, that could have been way stronger and way more respectful. In fact, it would have been way better if the entire game were about Max and Kate. Instead of this dog shit toxic friendship we have going on, the game could have been a heartwarming exploration of befriending sad people. The game could have been about finding yourself in the darkest of situations, and the theme of the importance of friendship would have been way, way, way stronger. A lot of these emotional moments would have been a lot stronger if instead of Chloe, we had Kate instead. Locking this all off to an optional side story is super disingenuous, and I would even say it's straight up suicide bait. All these problems make for a really consistently unenjoyable experience. So much happens in this game that it topples over on itself. The game has these ultra dark themes, but the writing isn't good enough to compensate for it. But all this is really ruined when we get to the
Part 4, the ending sucks dick.
Life is Strange Chapter 5 is a fucking disaster. Up until this point, anything shitty could have easily been intentional. Maybe the game was leading up to something. No! What the game was really leading up to was a cheap plot twist, ripping off Silent Hill 3, Batman Arkham Asylum, and Evangelion.
So you're telling me Christ died for my sins?
And an ending so shitty and bad that it quite literally ruins the entirety of the game. I'm not even exaggerating. Life is Strange genuinely has one of the worst endings of all time. But let's back up a minute first. So I mentioned Mr. Jefferson, right? So throughout the game, he's a pretty regular character. He's just an art teacher, I guess. Seems pretty chill. But then, out of complete left field, he becomes the serial killer plot twist, who ends up shooting Chloe in the head, so maybe he's the good guy the whole time. But here's the thing. Instead of translating the old character into a more menacing character, they instead essentially decided to write a completely different character. They just went, oh, you know the old Mr. Jefferson? Let's make him completely out of character. In fact, he's so out of character, his fucking accent changes.
But life won't wait for you to play catch up. You're young, the world is yours, blah, 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 right?
If only Nathan could see this setup. He tried so hard. But you can't just throw a few subjects around and expect a cohesive style or theme.
I'm over here stroking my dick. I got lotion on my dick right now. I'm just stroking my shit.
It's like the voice actor is doing a really bad G-Man impression.
You really should have focused on schoolwork, not private detecting with your little friend.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
All this results in me not really being able to take this seriously at all. I've already associated Mr. Jefferson with a completely different character, and to make him into what is to the audience completely out of character in this completely jarring way just gives me whiplash. And before you say, oh, Dumsy, it's not that bad. No, it's still god-awful.
I knew you were special the second I saw your first selfie. Yes. I still hate that word.
Oh my god, is this game pranking me? But then after some looking through photoing, Max goes back to the beginning of the game and texts Chloe's stepdad saying that Mark Jefferson is guilty, which leads to his arrest and Max being a famous photographer.
Life is weird.
Shut your ass up.
But I guess the events of Life is Strange also happened anyways, because Chloe, the R-timeline Chloe, tells Max that her vision is true, and the tornado is hitting Max's home of Arcadia Bay.
Max, holy shit, man, your vision, it's true. You saw the tornado, it's coming.
How convenient. Max then goes back in time again and restores the other timeline to save Chloe, but now she's back in Mr. Jefferson's place again. But thankfully, David Madsen saves her. How convenient. Which means the text in the other timeline was canonical, so he waited until this very convenient time to save you? And if not, then how does he know about Mr. Jefferson? Yeah, he suspected him, but not to the extent that he was a fucking serial killer. But at the very least, you get an optional conversation with David. And this conversation is one of the best in the game. It does bring his whole character arc to a close.
I'm not gonna make any excuses for my behavior. I tried to be a good soldier, but I wasn't so great. I tried to be a good father, too. But you saw how that went.
And even after everything he's done to Chloe, and even though he's a really flawed person, this scene does show that he genuinely cared about her, and the safety of the students at Blackwell. And in the end, it really does humanize him.
It's hard to come home after war. Most people don't know or care what it's like. Except Joyce. She gave me hope. A new life.
And if you tell him Chloe's dead, it's genuinely pretty heartbreaking. For David, of course. Fuck Chloe Price.
David, Chloe is dead.
This isn't happening.
I saw a Jefferson killer in the junkyard last night.
Last night, when I was so close to finding out the truth, I promised Joyce that I would protect her and Chloe.
That's why David Madsen, a character you're not supposed to like, is my favorite character in the game. He has actual depth to him. Just a shame this conversation is entirely optional. So long story short, a bunch of shit happens. The town's going to shit. You can make out with Warren in this scene. Max starts breaking time again. And the game goes all Neon Genesis Evangelion on you. Or at least it tries to. Because when Evangelion went all mental breakdown on you, I was actually creeped out by it. In Life is Strange, however, I'm usually holding back my laughter. Ooh, it's Kate Marsh, the mentally unstable girl who killed herself. Oh, what's this? She's yelling at you, then going into the great beyond. I've never seen this before. Oh, what's this? Max is opening a door and she's in the same hallway? Oh, by golly, I've never seen this before. Oh, what's this? You play as Veronica, the bad guy, for a small portion? Wow, I've never seen that before. You then have to sneak past every other character in the game as they insult and demean you in the goofiest ways possible.
The only place I can be myselfy is in the dark room.
Maxine Caulfield has died under tragic circumstances that I promise to investigate after I get my drink on.
Huh? Hey, babe. Who wants to go ape?
This is meant to be scary, right?
What's up with you and that blue-haired loser? You need an alpha male, baby.
Max, Rachel not only gave great headshots, she gave great
I then get a bunch of scenes of Chloe dismissing Max as a friend.
Max is a fucking child. I'm so over her hipster bullshit.
Wow, man, this is really scary.
Look at Max spying on us. Take a fucking picture, bitch.
Remember in Metal Gear Solid 2 when they completely deconstructed your entire belief system? In that game, the big scary bad guys were actually kind of onto something, which is why that game will still terrify me to this day.
I'll decide for myself what to believe and what to pass on.
But is that even your own idea?
Or something Snake told you.
The same thing in Spec Ops The Line. That game will deconstruct your entire moral compass, which is the entire point.
I didn't mean to hurt anybody.
No one ever does, Walker.
In Life is Strange, characters just kind of call you a bitch for this whole nightmare sequence.
I wish you would have never come back to Arcadia Bay. You're the real Storm.
Oh, by the way, so earlier in the game, you can make out with Chloe and be a lesbian, you know, Drake moment, right? So fucking get this. To make things even goofier, there's not one, but 2 times where Chloe makes out with someone else. When I streamed this game a while back, I literally burst out laughing at this part. No way! It's the goofiest fucking shit. If people like this game, oh, we'll do. Max then meets herself and then she yells at herself and she's like, you're a bad person. But then Chloe comes in and is all like, no, you're not a bad person. Then the game emotionally manipulates you again by showing you all the good times you two had together, even though she fucked you over for most of them. So at this point, the game is just straight up emotionally abusing you. People like this game, and we finally get one last interaction with Chloe. Now, reminder, this game is very much choice driven. So guess how many endings there are? 2. There are 2 endings in this choice-driven game, all dictated by one choice. So this whole warning screen about your choices mattering in the whole game, yeah, bullshit. You may have noticed I skipped over a lot of stuff. This is why, because it doesn't matter at all. Hell, not even the stuff I did mention really matters anyways. But before I get ahead of myself, this is what actually happens. So you have a choice of either sacrificing Chloe Price and letting her get shot by Nathan, thus saving Arcadia Bay from the contrived disaster tornado, or letting everyone die in Arcadia Bay, and it's only you and Chloe who are alive. Now, I don't know about you, but I'd rather kill myself than live the rest of my life with this fucking whore. So really, there's only one correct ending.
I know I've been selfish, but for once, I think I should accept my fate.
Okay, bye.
Get that gun away from me, psycho!
Oh, by the way, if you sacrifice Chloe, Kate Marsh fucking lives. So yeah, your choices really don't matter in this game. You know, why would I care about her jumping off a goddamn rooftop when I could just make it all better by throwing a blue-haired bitch into a tornado? And that's why I'm saying this ending ruins the whole game, because it does ruin the whole game. All of your choices and actions are completely nullified. They mean nothing now. For a game that's already insanely poorly written, this is just the nuclear bomb on top of the fucking radiation sundae. This entire chapter is already really garbage, with terrible plot twists and god-awful dialogue, and the worst attempts at a horror I've ever goddamn seen, only to end off by just going, hey, the entire rest of the game was a waste of fucking time. This game is garbage. People like this shit?
Part 5, conclusion.
Look, if you enjoy Life is Strange, all the power to you. And by all means, feel free to disagree with me. But I just can't enjoy this game whatsoever. The writing is awful. The characters are awful. The fact your choices don't actually matter is awful. The suicide bait is awful. Chloe Price is awful. And in my opinion, this game is awful and overrated. If you want a better alternative, I recommend Night in the Woods. The writing in that game is just so much better, so much more human. Despite being cartoon animals, the characters in Night in the Woods are so horrifyingly realistic. I can pinpoint real life people these characters remind me of, that I've met. That's a good thing, by the way. The themes of mental illness are much more realistic in that game, and the fears of growing up are genuinely really profound. This is what Life is Strange wishes it could be. Maybe check it out one day. It's on pretty much every platform imaginable. Don't let the furry shit scare you, because this game is the fucking GOAT. No cap. So in conclusion, I don't like Life is Strange. Should have been more like Call of Duty with guns and blood. And if you like it, you should feel bad. And yeah, that's about it.
Fuck you in the lanes you came with. Me and you ain't on the same shit. You ain't in my lane, bitch. Nah, throw that shit in fifth. Rollie on my wrist. Ay, baby, you a star. I'm my only wish. I'm counting blue honeys. I'm too money. Ay, and my little bitch, she too lovely. Yeah, hanging up and calling me right back. Ay, baby, why you calling me like that? Yeah, getting high with the seat laid back. Baby, gon' relax, yeah. Hey, they don't know the half, yeah. No matter what happened, I got your back. Baby, that's the facts, yeah. That's the facts, yeah. Yeah, we can fight, but the feeling's gone. I try to find the words, but they never come. I can still see you on the lawn. Hey, laying outside in the summer sun. Yeah, we can fight, but the feeling's gone. I try to find the words, but they never come. I can still see you on the lawn. Hey, baby, that's the facts, yeah. That's the facts, yeah.
Break dance is always break dance, yo.